Murray, Euronews.
In Belarus, protesters were out for a third successive night over suspected vote rigging in Sunday's presidential election. A heavy police presence tried to stop demonstrators who accuse current President Alexander Lukashenko of fixing the outcome of the ballot. Authorities detained dozens of people and in some cases used force against the crowds. Evelyn Laverick's report does contain some violent scenes.
Anti-government demonstrators turned out for a third straight night in Belarus despite a massive police crackdown which has prompted a warning of possible EU sanctions. Police broke up any gatherings which looked like getting too large, often using extreme force. Protesters claimed Sunday's election, which gave authoritarian President Alexander Lukashenko a sixth term with 80% of the vote, was rigged. Earlier, after being detained as she tried to register a complaint about the election, the top opposition candidate, Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, apologised to her backers for fleeing the country. Her campaign manager made a statement saying all protest activities should be peaceful.
These protests have been caused by authorities refusing to listen to their citizens. They are mostly responsible for everything that's happening now. I think there shouldn't be provocations from either side, neither from the peaceful people nor authorities. All protest activities should be peaceful.
Meanwhile, for President Lukashenko, it was business as usual, attending government meetings. He's already warned there will be no revolution in Belarus. But still, the harsh treatment of protesters and, it seems, the press goes on. Across the country, thousands of people have been detained for taking part in the unsanctioned protests. It's prompted these scenes outside a prison where families struggle to find out what has happened to their missing relatives. What's not yet clear is whether the unrest will eventually lose momentum or usher in a new political era. Evelyn Laverick, Euronews.
Well, our international correspondent Annalise Borges has been following the events in Minsk for us, and she joins us now from the Belarusian capital. Annalise, morning to you. We've just heard, laid out very clearly by Evelyn there in that report, that the demonstrators just don't want to give up. But what actually can they achieve from here? What are their options?
Hi there, Rosie. Well, it's really hard to say which direction this opposition movement will take, what's next for them. Over the last few days, they went from having a strong argument and a charismatic candidate to being quashed in the streets of Minsk and to losing that candidate who's now fled the country over concerns for her safety and the safety of her family. Last night, they were out and about once again in the streets of Minsk trying to gather, but police seemed much more organized and very quick to disperse these crowds. To do just that, they used stun grenades, tear gas and rubber bullets, and some protesters claim that live ammunition was used against them. Over the last 3 nights, we heard multiple reports of police brutality, and of course over 3,000 people were detained for taking part in these protests. Police have warned protesters not to come out to the streets anymore. They can face up to 15 years in jail. But it's once again very hard to tell what is going to happen next. Protesters I spoke to over the last few days say they are determined to continue taking to the streets to make their voices heard, and they expect more from the international community. They say they need all the help they can get at this moment.